Hello, I'm Ninja Greg, and you're watching The Ninja Greg Show. And this is my review of Daddy's Home, a comedy starring Will Ferrell and Mark Walburgh. Okay, so what's this movie about? Well, Will Ferrell plays Brad, a guy who's... well, he works for a radio station, but his position's a little bit unclear, but he's definitely kind of one of the higher-ups. And he is a stepfather to a woman and her 2 kids, and of course, just when things are starting to go great, just when his stepkids are starting to accept him, title drop, Daddy comes home. And Daddy is Mark Walburgh, who plays Dusty. So yeah, coming into this movie, it seems like it's gonna be, Dad wanted, Dusty wanted to come back and, kind of take his family back, but of course, you got Brad, who is just now starting to become more important to his stepkids. So it seems like it's going to be a kind of movie where you kind of have this the dad and stepdad having their little pissing contest, and it does go that way, but it kind of takes its time going there. Okay, so what are some of the positives I could talk about with this movie? Well, it's a comedy, and I did chuckle a handful of times. So, comedy's supposed to make you laugh, and I technically did laugh a few times, because there is some acceptable physical humor, but I'm sorry, this one's not very good at all. Okay, so yeah, Dusty, played by Mark Wahlberg. At first you think it's going to go the way you probably expect it to, and it does, but it takes over an hour to get there. From the moment he shows up, there's a lot of meandering around with Dusty just kind of tooting his own horn and showing how awesome he is, and Brad just being kind of mildly put off and mildly threatened. Yeah, probably about a good 30 minutes of this hour-and-a-half movie is just setting up how different these two guys are. Brad is the dad who's really involved. He does everything: school stuff, coaching a basketball team at the youth center, taking the kids on, or being involved with field trips. All this stuff a good dad should be. But Dusty's a lot of fun. He's really cool. He builds him a tree house, and builds him a half pipe, and a lot of the early stuff with the two of them is just kind of establishing how different they are, and we don't get to the package measuring until it's already an hour into the movie. And there's really only 2 instances of them trying to outdo each other, like over an hour in, with Dusty coming out and flat out saying that, yeah, he fully intended to just kind of get Brad out of the picture and get his family back, and then Brad just goes completely over the top and gives his kids an early Christmas with all kinds of crazy presents and a basketball game. I'm sorry, but I just cannot get on board with this one. You failed as a comedy when the people watching aren't laughing throughout, and I was not laughing throughout. I mean, I got a sense of when they wanted me to laugh, but a lot of it just feels really forced and awkward and just not funny. I mean, yeah, I laughed at a few moments of physical humor, but that's because I like physical comedy. You know, I'm a big fan of the Three Stooges, and I watch a lot of AFV. And there are just moments that just feel like they're ripped right out of a cartoon with how ridiculous they are. There's a moment where Brad tries to ride Dusty's motorcycle. Yeah, big shock. Super cool dad rides a motorcycle. And, of course, Brad doesn't know how to ride, so instead of, having this really funny sequence of him obviously not knowing how to ride and trying to figure it out, no, he pops a wheelie and he rides off screen for like a few seconds, then rides into the house, and instead of giving us a funny sequence of him riding the bike through the house and smashing things up, no, he just goes right up the stairs, and then the totally not CG motorcycle, we swear it's not CG, it's the real thing, comes crashing through the window and smashes onto Brad's car, which, by the way, is a Ford car, and there's two instances in the movie where they plug it, and talk about how it's a good family car and all that. So, yeah. And of course, after Brad's accident, we come back inside the house and see him literally stuck in the wall like Wile E. Coyote that rode a rocket trying to catch the Roadrunner. And then there's another instance where, getting back to, Brad comes home one day, and he goes into his backyard and sees a bunch of kids playing in this really impressive tree house that Dusty built, and also a couple of kids skateboarding on a half pipe. And Brad decides to show, okay, two can play at the cool dad game, so he gets out this old skateboard that he has, and he tries to show off, and we get the only in the cartoons moment where he rides off of the roof of the house, down the half pipe, goes up one end, flies into the air, lands smack into some power lines, gets electrocuted, and falls back down. Why wasn't this a cartoon? Because there's two instances now where they had these really ridiculous cartoon moments. And in a cartoon, I might accept something like that. But this is not a cartoon, this is a live-action movie. Ugh, and there are just moments that are trying to be funny, but it's just really bogged down with forced and awkward, stilted dialogue. But, I'm sorry, I don't care enough about this movie to tell you anything more. It gives you an expectation, and while your expectation is partially met, it just disappoints. This is not a good movie at all, and I don't recommend it. Anyways, I'm Ninja Greg. You've been watching the Ninja Greg Show. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click that little bell for notifications. I'll see you next time.